What's in my food or in my water? We have a tendency in the United States to think that we can eat just about anything that's put before us, and this certainly is not true in a third world country. The number of things that you can get, diarrhea, traveler's diarrhea, is very common. You probably should have medication with you when you travel for traveler's diarrhea. Ask your doctor about something to take. At a minimum, you should have Pepto-Bismol and probably something like ciprofloxacin. Any vegetables, especially raw vegetables, can cause diarrhea. And remember, human fertilizer. We don't do this in the United States, but many foreign countries will pump out their septic tanks, dig out their outhouses, and put that directly onto their crops as fertilizer. And that's why you need to be very careful about eating vegetables. Parasites, tapeworm. Anytime you eat raw meat, you run the risk of getting a tapeworm. You can have, there's a beef tapeworm, there's a pork tapeworm. The longest tapeworm in the world is Diphyllobothrium latum. That's the fish tapeworm. It gets over 30 feet in length. You say, well, you know, maybe if I had a tapeworm, it'd help me lose some weight. I'm not really worried about having a tapeworm. They don't eat that much. But I want you to understand that if you have a tapeworm in your intestine, that is a problem as far as your nutrition, as far as your digestion. But as that tapeworm produces eggs, you can get the tapeworm eggs to become larvae in your blood and in cysts in all kinds of places, including your brain. And people do die from tapeworm cysts in their brain, and I've treated people with that in third world countries. So it's not just a simple matter of having a tapeworm in your intestine. You don't want to get tapeworm disease. And of course, trichinosis, that worm insists in your muscle. It's very painful, mimics arthritis a lot of times, and there's no cure for that. And then ascaris, once again, ascaris can produce cysts in your brain. You can die from that. Trichinosis, this is a nice slide of pig face feast. In Indonesia, they serve boiled pig face as a ceremonial dinner. And I've eaten 2 pig face feasts. It's really not bad, but you got to be sure that thing is well cooked. Hepatitis A. It's a food or waterborne illness. You can get it from drinking water that's contaminated, or you can get it from food that's been prepared by someone whose hands are contaminated. Hepatitis A is easily preventable with an injection. It actually takes 2 immunizations to prevent hepatitis A, but if you don't have time for the 2 immunizations and you're going to go immediately, get the first one, because the first one of this immunization prevents hepatitis A on a short-term basis. Many other immunizations are not that way, but this is one that you can get right up to before you leave and it'll still be effective. I recommend you get it a little further back than that though. Anesichiasis. This is a fluke about 2 centimeters or an inch or so long that you get from eating raw fish. It gets in your stomach, makes you very ill very quickly, sometimes within a matter of hours after eating the raw fish. And the treatment for it is for someone to go down your throat with an endoscope and remove the flukes endoscopically. That comes from eating poorly cooked fish. Now there's a very common dish in Central and South America and some other Asian countries as well. They call it ceviche, and it's fish that is supposedly cooked in lemon juice or some other acidic media for several days. And the fish turns white and it looks and it tastes like cooked fish, but guess what? That doesn't kill anesichiasis. So you need to be careful about eating anything that's not well cooked. And then again, cholera. The cholera vibrios can live within any kind of seafood. It's particularly common in shellfish, raw oysters. I love eating raw oysters, but boy, I don't eat them overseas because cholera is very easy to get from eating any kind of uncooked seafood. I simply cannot stress enough the number of things that you can get by eating poorly cooked food or untreated water. And I personally one time ate a taco on the street in Mexico, and I thought that I was able to do that. I was going through the mountains in a bus and I was back in the toilet, and you know those toilets on a bus just have a little hole about this big around, and I didn't know whether to vomit in it or have diarrhea in it first, and the bus was going through the mountains and I was miserable. I learned something from that. So the conclusion, drink bottled water. If you can't get bottled water, boiled or treated water, know the source of your food. Know where it came from, know who cooked it. If you don't know where it came from, if you don't know who cooked it, if you don't know how recently it's been cooked, don't eat it. All foods should be well cooked. Any vegetables or fruits that cannot be peeled, you should not eat. If you can peel it, what's on the inside is usually safe. But if you can't peel it, you shouldn't eat it unless it's well cooked. And then I suggest that you always carry Pepto-Bismol tablets. They're good quick treatment for traveler's diarrhea, and water treatment tablets or water treatment drops just in case you can't get purified water. I don't use them regularly, but I carry them just in case I need to. One more word about food. A lot of times you'll see American type restaurants in third world countries. Maybe they'll have a Wendy's or maybe they'll have a McDonald's, and you go in there and you get a cheeseburger with lettuce on it. And you say, well, this must be safe, it's in McDonald's. I guarantee you the meat may have come from the United States, but that lettuce didn't come from the United States. It came from wherever you are. I would take the lettuce off. I wouldn't eat it. What's in a baby? Oh, babies are so cute, and it's so tempting to pick up and hold babies, and you know, it really will endear people to you if you play with their babies. But babies are a hotbed of disease. First of all, HIV. Transmitted by body fluids. Well, what happens when you have a baby? You're going to encounter some body fluids. Now here's this cute little baby here, and he's just drooling all over that lady's hand. And if that baby were HIV positive and she had a cut on her hand, she could potentially be infected. Now saliva is a low infectious media, but it's possible. What about urine? Or what about the other things that come in diapers? Well, you know, babies do that sort of uncontrollably. If you have a cut on your skin, if you have an opening, it's an open door to HIV. So you need to be careful. Babies can be infected too. Hepatitis A, often mild or asymptomatic in children. Children will have hepatitis A, they'll have the active disease, they'll be contagious, it'll be in their saliva, it'll be on their skin, and they won't be sick at all. But if you get it, you'll be very sick. And a lot of the above mentioned diseases you can get from babies. What's the conclusion? Love those babies. Nothing you can do will endear you to the people around you, but protect yourself. Babies do carry disease.